since the dawn of time, practically. That's what TV is, basically. So this idea of entertaining ourselves through theater is not a new idea. TV and all this crap, I mean, it's very normal. Okay, that people are interested in different stuff. I mean, you got all kinds of interesting, you got reality TV shows and all kinds of educational TV shows and things, shows that'll make you laugh, and laughter being your best medicine. So, look, so he's going to see, these are the guys that are really the enemies of change. Guys that pose as liberals like Robert Reich, when Trump is 10 times the liberal that Robert Reich is. Okay, as far as I'm concerned, if Trump, and I believe he is an egalitarian, believes in sound economic policies, true capitalism, in allowing everybody to be prosperous, to set the captives free, okay, through rising worth of your currency. This is the only way it's going to happen. Your currency must, come hell or high water, you must rise in worth, because that's the only way that your cost of living concurrently, simultaneously falls in burden. Okay, it goes down. Your cost of living tax goes down as the worth of your currency goes up. And the captives will be set free. So if people want to sit around and watch TV all day, like Adam Smith said, hey, look, a civilized society, quote, civilized, can support many idle people. So be it. They're not relevant. Don't worry. Don't be jealous about them wanting to sit around and watch TV all day, Robert Reich. Okay? If that's what their prerogative is, that's their God-given right. When they feel like serving you, then they will, on their terms. Okay? Because you're not the boss of them. No man should have to be the boss of others. I know we need law and order and a government at the moment, okay, currently in the state of affairs, but that's going to change. That's all going to change. I'm going to go on to some of the current events. And, I guess I'm going to finish up talking about Kanye because, while it's still on my mind. Kanye, he really beat on him the next day, too, and they had this guy from the Temptations on. He was totally cool about his attitude toward Kanye. Some people are really cool. Charles was really cool about his attitude toward him. Harvey wasn't too bad, but, he had to play, wiser than everybody else there and tell, I don't believe love is the most powerful force in the universe, and loving my enemy and forgiveness and all this. That Harvey doesn't believe in that. But he didn't qualify it with, well, it says here in my Jewish book of, what do they call it? I can't remember. They got some names for the books that they read. But, just like the first few chapters of the Bible or something like that. But, their guy is Moses, basically. So they don't, but a lot of Jews are Messianic Jews, which means that their Messiah is Jesus. So Jews are not just, and all these people say, well, it was Jews that hung up Jesus. No, it was elitists. It was people posing as Jews. Like Jesus said, he said, you call yourselves Jews, but you're a synagogue of Satanists. Right, they used it as a calling card. That's it. It just, yeah, you know what, I'm going to use that. I like that title. I'm a Jew too, so I get these special privileges. I'm, man of the cloth, and I'm pious, and, I'm your authority. I know God's will for you, and, all this kind of crap. Well, they weren't. They were a synagogue of Satan. So good Jews, true Jews, are very devoted to God and very zealous for his will to be accomplished on earth. That's a good Jew. So if that's the Jew that Harvey Levin is, then he's got to, talk about where he got this from. And, likewise with Kanye, he needed to spit it out, that, well, I heard this from Jesus and I believe it's true. I believe that, we think God is like us sometimes, but it turns out that God is way better than us. That, wow, that's really powerful. Love your enemy. It's not only very powerful, but it's very freeing. And it's nothing you can feign. It's not like King Solomon said, loving your enemy is like pouring hot coals over their head. That can't be our motivation, okay? Even though that was an observation, an empirical observation, that these people don't want to be loved. Like Van didn't want to be hugged by Kanye. Okay, but the devil's in the details. It's not because Van didn't want to hug Kanye, but he's got the devil in him. He's got a demon in him, just like we all struggle with our own demons. So it's not like I'm picking on Van and say he's demon possessed. We're all demon possessed sometimes. Look at your behavior. Look at your thought patterns sometimes. Don't you ever get in a rut, get depressed, get empty and feeling pathetic and feeble and needy? Okay, we all do that. It's written in Scripture that God uses that for his purposes. In our weakness, his strength is perfected, because we always want to turn to him. That's the default position. We're needy, we turn to God. We don't depend on any human. It's not his fault or her fault, in my sin, my failings, my shortcomings, my personality defects, okay, my escapist vices, all this means of dissipating my time. It's no other human's fault, so why would I blame them and bother them and go to a psychiatrist or a therapist, a counselor, although those people are good and fine, your pastor, or a friend, a family member, whatever, talk things over with. But they can't solve it. We've got to go to God. He's our owner. He's the only one that can understand us and love us the way we need to be understood and loved. Okay, so yeah, Kanye should have just, but yeah, well, I learned it from Jesus, and I believe that, and it makes sense. And I can't feign love for my enemy. I can't feign these things. It's got to be real, but I know it's what they don't want, and that's not the incentive for why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I want things fixed. We got to have the conversation. We got to come together as a family, as a race, as a species, and fix our problems. Realize they have injected the devil is in the details of what's keeping us divided and at each other's throats and not being able to fix our damn problems. And what's God going to say? I mean, he's pissed, man. He's going to separate us like the sheep from the goats, man, like the weeds from the cultivars, the wicked from the righteous, and all those elitists that haven't prescribed to total, complete, unequivocal equality are going to hell with the elitists. I'm telling you, I'm warning you. You open Pandora's box. You open that can of worms of believing in inequality. And the sky's the limit, man. You got no clout. You got no standing. Okay? You are nobody. You've got nothing. You've got no basis, no justification for telling another man that he believes that inequality should be expanded over here and just a little more tweak it. And then the next guy beyond him. Do you understand? It never ends. So that's my plea. I beg you to accept universal equality and just understand this is what the heart of God wants for us. I believe that with him, just like Kanye said, he's tapped into the universal spirit in this mind, the spirit of truth and all this. He's talking about the spirit of God, man. I mean, so what? It doesn't make him religious. Really, I'd be the most religious person in the world if I didn't believe in Jesus, probably. I'd be a nutcase. I'd be, just a... basket case, But I'm needy. And the lucky ones admit it. We're all needy. It's the lucky ones admit that they're needy. Okay? And we need each other too. Just think of all the people in your life that help you to cope and survive and keep going. I'm so glad for those people. The people I work for, okay, my family that encourages me. I mean, I'm so lucky. I feel so blessed. And I feel like I'm just not showing it. I'm just not being as grateful as I ought to be. And I know what's doing it to me. It's the system, man. I know it's just taken all the thunder out of my joy and my gratitude, my attitude of gratitude. I just want to pour it out on everybody and tell, put a bounce in your steps. Put joy in your heart and a song on your lips. For the Lord is good, and, he's overcome death. And, good is coming to those that hunger and thirst for righteousness. It's all going to pan out well, and I'm very optimistic. All the while, my brothers and sisters are dying out in the cold, and all the wars and rumors of wars and children dying, and all the problem, terrorist attacks, and the homicides and the suicides, and I can't, of course I can't enjoy any. Feeling lucky. What the hell? I don't want to feel lucky, man. I want to slash my freaking wrists. I want to go get my fair share. I want to get in the fray. Get in between the people that are at each other's throats. I want to tell Satan what's what, man. Get behind us. Get behind us, Satan. Okay, I heard Alex Jones talk about that. That's what he needs to do. When he feels that little beast inside him, he's got his demons he's struggling with. Tell him, get behind me, Satan. That's it. That's right. I got to do it too. We all need to do it. That's it. The little demons that keep on chattering, the shitty committee, always chattering in our ears saying, hey, be this person, be that, it's like Babylon, and we're never going to fix our problems unless we empower ourselves with the knowledge, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, to say unequivocally, there is truth. Absolute truth is not always subjective. We could say, we could haggle here and there, opinion, well, which rose is the prettiest and which one smells the best. Okay, well, the truth is this, nobody could be an authority on on some issues, okay, definitely. But there is absolute truths, okay, about conscience. That if you compromise conscience, then you're going to feel it. Your conscience is going to ache because it's made that way. There are these immutable laws of the universe. These are the karmic laws that people talk about. As you sow, so you reap. So there's a scientific basis, like Isaac Newton. For every action, there's an equal or opposite reaction. We know everything's inverted. We know our body takes up space in this, that if our bodies weren't here and we were cremated, there'd be more air, right? Because there's something fills that vacuum. So this interconnectivity and this osmosis thing that we got going on as humans is real. It's scientifically provable. So we're all very powerful and all very influenced by one another. And if we really want happiness, then we've got to care. First of all, we've got to bind the wound where it's logical to bind the wound on the collective body of humanity, where it's hemorrhaging. No more desperate poverty. We've got to close down the shelters and house people. Take care of our brothers and sisters. Okay, and like I said, you don't have to go buy them anything extra. Energy, food, drinkable water, and shelter. That's all I'm saying. Modest. I don't care. If they want something better, then they can work for it. Okay, I'd be willing to say that. To make that concession there. But I just want to get to the bottom of this thing, folks, and I'm freaking sick and tired. And Kanye West is sick and tired. He's a very serious, sober-minded kind of dude. He's filled with the Spirit of God, I believe. And people want to call him mentally ill and, not in his right mind. And it's because he's off the opiates and all this crap. Screw the opiates, man. The doctors, because of my pain, they try to put me on painkillers. I ain't going there, man, wrecking my liver and crap and not being, I don't know who I am anymore. I mean, you're being influenced by the frickin' drugs. I mean, when God's trying to influence you with the natural drugs he gave you, okay, that's it. I mean, those are the drugs that influence me. I mean, I love being a man. I'll admit straight up, man. I love, I love my sexuality, and it feels really good, and I thank God. I mean, if I could afford a harem of very happy women, that'd be the first thing that rich guys want. Look at Trump. I mean, a normal heterosexual guy loves women. I mean, they're just awesome critters. But we all know that really, we can't have multiple wives, that this has been tried. King Solomon tried it. But, if I could have that reality, I'd probably have hundreds, if not thousands of kids by now. So, maybe it's better that, I can't afford a harem. Not that I would really do that. It's just a lot of talk. But, when the chips are down, I'm not as footloose and fancy-free as sometimes I think I'd like to be. That's probably why I could never be a masseur and rub naked women, or I could never be a nude photographer, videographer, pornographer. I could never do that. Or porn star. I couldn't do it. I couldn't be a gigolo or any of that stuff. Sure, you could toy with that. Well, gee whiz, I like sex so much, and, maybe I'd extend it over here, and, this and that, and that'd be a turn on, and that'd be fun to do, and get paid for it too. Yeah, there's a lot of temptation. It's very alluring, very enticing, these things, these worldly things. But, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to stand before God and be, the guy who the sin came through, that appealed to your Achilles heel. But, I mean, women are such beautiful creatures. I turn to God. I say, God, you've got to forgive me for, lusting. I mean, look at these creatures that you created. I mean, they're so beautiful, and you made this business of procreation feel so good, It's just so awesome, and I praise you, Father, for doing these things and these natural drugs that are imparted and that are brought to the surface, by these forces that you created. He created the tension between the male and the female, and the climax between the two too. These beautiful feelings, and the lead up to it, to that crescendo, that and the beautiful sensations. These drugs that are released into our brain and body by this. So these are some of the natural drugs. These endorphins. People get this runner's high. So I'm all for the natural drugs out there. So I get Kanye not wanting to be on opiates. He's, the pharmakia, like it's written. I mean, these are like demons almost. The drugs people get into, the illicit drugs out there. That's why the whole pot thing, I said, you know what? I treat it like broccoli, okay? Don't get into it. Don't lift it up. Don't exalt it. The best drugs are natural. and don't give it any attention. But that's exactly what they did. They get in there with the regulations, they legalize it, and then it's a whole thing about paying taxes. They jack up the prices. Look what they did to tobacco. I mean, you can't do that. You could, well, just because I choose to smoke this plant and you're going to nail me to the cross. I mean, what right do you have to do that? But that's what eventually is coming to the pot smokers, right? They're going to try to make it illegal, is control it. That's what they call controlled substances. So do you think the reason that cocaine is illegal is because they care about people's health so much? I mean, a lot of people do. So they're unwitting to the war on drugs, the whole business aspect of keeping society in turmoil, that it's good business for the criminal industrial complex, for lawyers and all this stuff. I mean, it causes strife. And again, like the devil is in the detail of all these things that cause problems. All these stressors are invented